For the first time in this series history, the Espo Eagles are in the playoffs. We take on the Buffalo Sabres in today's episode. I want to get you a look at our lineups, though, because we left the last episode with, a couple of talking points, mainly down to what this lineup should look like, who should play where, and I think this is what we're going to roll with. The good thing is, with the trade deadline acquisitions, we do have a lot of maneuverability in terms of who plays where, who's even in the lineup, because of course down in the AHL we do still have guys who are NHL caliber, maybe not the highest caliber, but Lamico, Armia, Salomaki, they are there, just in case something goes disastrously wrong. The top line, though, as expected, Capo Caco, Simon Tyval, and Mikko Rantanen. We get Mikko Rantanen, we make the playoffs. What are the odds? Second line is going to be Erik Haula, Teuvo Teravainen, and Brad Lambert. There was the debate over whether or not Haula should play on the second line. He was on an absolute tear, 11 points in 19 games. He went from being a healthy scratch to putting up a pretty damn good point total in just those 19 games again, shooting 17%. We'll see if that can carry over to the playoffs. Third line is Kasper Bjorkqvist with Patrick Virta, who did put up nearly 40 points this year, which is why I have him on the third line rather than the fourth line. I was tempted to bump him up all the way to the second line. Arturi Lehkonen rounds out that third line. And the fourth line is third line caliber. Jonas Donskoi with Marcus Granlund and Sebastian Repo. We have players who can put up points all throughout this lineup. The defense as well is looking pretty good, of course, with Nunivara and Ristolainen. You still have Kervainen, who's, again, 22 years old, but turned into a pretty decent offensive defenseman. 20-point guy, but if you look at those numbers, there's still room for improvement. So I'm excited to see what he can do in this postseason. He's with Petri Nokalainen, our first ever draft pick. And the third pairing of Ville Heinola with Matti Kuka. The goaltending, especially heading into the season, was very much in question, but Antti Ranta had a pretty damn good season. A .916 save percentage. It's been pretty strong ever since we've signed him up. Tuukka Rask, of course, was brought in as the backup. He had a .912 save percentage in 21 appearances. Let's take a look at what the Buffalo Sabres are looking like before we get into this matchup. Of course, it was a phenomenal year for us. I hope it doesn't end early. I really think it kind of depends on what the Sabres squad is looking like. Good Lord, we're going to have some trouble here. The top line, 23-year-old Alex Newhook, who I imagine put up a decent amount of points, 53 points, 32 goals this year, as of course creative players always seem to put up a hell of a lot of points. He is with Jack Eichel, and Jeff Skinner is still in Buffalo. All these years later, Eichel with a 60-point year. So I mean, he's been an 80 to 70-point guy throughout this entire series. Low end this year, though, strangely enough. Second line is JVR with Edgar Owens, who was the second overall pick in the 2018 secondary draft, of course, that we ended up having. 90 overall, 64-point year this year. Sam Reinhart rounds out that second line. Third line of Anthony Duclair, Casey Middlestat, and Alex Nylander. Fourth line of Brett Seney, Eric Cornell, and Jesper Fast. It's a very good team. It's a team that, again, at the end of a season, if you look, it's like, all right, let's look at the Cup winner, the Buffalo Sabres, and you see that squad. It's like, okay, I can see why they won. Defensively, Jesus, Manuel Stützle. Sixth round steal. The German. Good Lord. Way to go, Buffalo. Way to go, Buffalo. He is with Rasmus Dahlin. Second pairing of Brendan Goulet with Philip Broberg. And the third pairing of Calvin DeHaan and Brett Kulak. That is a very good defense. The goaltender. We are in so much trouble. How can we win a division title and not be favorites in the first round? This lineup is how. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who, of course, we would love to acquire in this series, but at a 92 overall, he's going to be just a little bit expensive to try and track down, and unfortunately, he's under contract for 4 more seasons after this one. I don't know if he'll ever suit up for this team, but god damn it, he can break our hearts, can't he? Hinostroza and Nathan Beaulieu are the healthy scratches. Of course, this series started before Beaulieu was traded to Winnipeg. Again, I don't know how we could have won a division title and been, up against the 8 ball here. Up against the 8 ball? That's a saying, isn't it? Our backs are against the wall in this setup. Buffalo, with 92 points, absolutely underperformed this year. Oh, God. Okay, this is going to be tough. Now, technically, their goals against average was pretty high, but again, more of a sign that they underperformed rather than the team not being up to par. Let's get this going. I don't have as much confidence as I did about 4 or 5 minutes ago. Let's see what happens. Game 1 against the Sabres, our first ever playoff game in this series. Let's see how it goes. First period, and it's a goal apiece. Alex Nylander opens up the scoring. Kasper Bjorkqvist gets us back in it. We outshot him 10-6, and we're tied up at 1 apiece. Second period, that hurts a lot. Casey Middlestat and Manuel Stützle. It is 3-1 Buffalo. We have the slight edge in shots. They have a decent edge on the scoreboard. Third period, and we are in desperate need of a quick goal. Kasper Bjorkqvist, there we go. Stepping up in a big-time way now that he's been demoted to the third line to begin the playoffs. Do we have enough to get back into it, though? A power play for Buffalo goes to waste. We have a power play chance of our own. That also goes to waste. 4 minutes left. Kasper Bjorkqvist gets the hat trick. Is that enough to get us to overtime? Yes, it is. What a performance. Kasper Bjorkqvist. Drop him to the third line, people said. It turned out to be a good idea. He's responded very well. And we go to overtime here in Game 1. Let's do this. As far as predictions, Kasper Bjorkqvist, make it 4. Why not? 4 for 4, Kasper. As far as who could potentially win it for Buffalo, I mean, there's any number of players, really. And it ends up being Edgar Owens, the 90 overall second-line center. And a hat-trick performance for Bjorkqvist goes to waste. 4-3 is your final. The Sabres survive, blowing a 3-1 lead to win it 4-3 in overtime. A great performance from that third line, but unfortunately nobody else could step up and solve Luukkonen. We didn't get the best performance out of Ranta, and we drop Game 1 on home ice. Not the ideal situation, but we can certainly get out of it. We're not going to make any changes to the lineup just yet. I mean, that would be... I know I can be a bit reactionary, I guess it would be. I know I can jump the gun in terms of making changes. Even I think that would be a little bit ridiculous. Game 2, first period, is scoreless, 11 shots to 4, so I give the advantage to Buffalo for the fact that they are not yet losing. Second period, they are now, though. Kasper Bjorkqvist. We have scored 4 goals in this series. All 4 of them, Kasper Bjorkqvist. Unbelievable. We go to the third period, up by a goal. Can we hold on? Can we get the insurance? Can Ranta shut the door and somehow shut out this ridiculous Buffalo offense? We are halfway through the third period. 7 minutes remaining. Can we hold on? Can Ranta redeem himself? Is there an insurance goal? The Eagles have taken Game 2. It's a 1-0 shutout victory. 26 saves for Antti Ranta. And the lone goal from a soon-to-be legend and hero of this channel for this series, Kasper Bjorkqvist, scores again. Luukkonen had a great game, but we have found his Achilles heel, who I'm very much tempted to put on every line possible. We end up splitting the first 2 games of this series. Certainly not as bad as it could have been. For Game 3, lineup stays the same. I don't want to change anything up about that third line with the way they're clicking right now, but we need the top 6 to start chipping in, or perhaps changes will be necessary. As the series shifts to Buffalo, let's do this. First period of Game 3, and the Sabres get the opening goal. It is Alex Newhook. We'll see if the trend continues of the first team to score, going on to win the game. Obviously, we hope it doesn't. Second period, and we tie it up, but Buffalo regains the lead. Teuvo Teravainen with the goal. Alex Nylander restores that 1-0 lead. We're out shooting them 23-14, but Luukkonen right now is the difference maker. Third period, Can we battle back here? We've finally seen a different goal scorer other than Bjorkqvist, which is nice, but can we get another one? Down 2-1 here, halfway through the third. Broberg makes it 3-1, and barring a miracle, the Sabres are going to bounce back and take a 2-1 series lead. That is exactly what they have done. A 3-1 victory for Buffalo. And again, the confidence is a little bit rattled. The top six not exactly performing as I would have hoped, and I think we now will more than likely take a look at maybe mixing things up. I mean, we're only down 2-1. There's still a long way to go in this series, but Game 4 is going to be oh so important. That second line is just, I mean, even the top line, nothing. Absolutely nothing going right now. And Eric Hall is disappointed. That third line, though, in fairness, it just appears to be Virta and Bjorkqvist that are doing well. So I'm not sure how ridiculous I want to be with these changes. We could be over the top ridiculous with these changes, and one has to wonder if we change things up, will Bjorkqvist gel as well? Again, there is no upfront chemistry system, if you believe in there being a behind-the-scenes chemistry system with, oh, well, certain player types or just certain players magically work well together. Maybe it's the morale system being off, but technically with the morale system on, they're friends or whatever. Who knows? But splitting those two up seems dangerous, but that is the only line that we are getting scoring from right now. So there's no doubt something has to change. But the only guy I'm willing really to drop out of the top six right now is Haula, because otherwise that's a little bit of a dangerous game, dropping like a Simon Taival or a Teravainen out of the top six. It's very disappointing because Simon Taival led our team in points, but he, point a game in the regular season, nothing through 3 games. That top line has been completely shut down. I'm going to be over the top ridiculous about this. Let's do it. We're going to put up Bjorkqvist and Virta to the top line with Rantanen. It'll be Kakko, Simon Taival, and Lambert, Haula, Teravainen, and Lehkonen. Maybe. I'm thinking of bumping up Granlund because we could. I'm going to leave that as is. Certainly not how I expected to change things around, but let's do it. And as far as the goaltending is concerned, Ranta's been not so hot. Like a 9.15 in the regular season isn't too bad, but that's a pretty rough number. Didn't think I'd have to make drastic changes like that, but screw it. I mean, again, the only line that had been effective for us in this series thus far is that third line. Let's see what happens. Game 4 against the Sabres. We are in desperate need of a win. Let's see what happens. First period, I mean, it's a goal apiece. Patrick Virta gets the goal, so I'm feeling a little bit better about that decision. Alex Nylander is able to tie it up. Second period, as Buffalo scores first to make it 2-1, we respond with back-to-back goals. Artturi Lehkonen and Brad Lambert. It's 3-2. We have the slight edge in shots. Buffalo put up quite a few shots that period, but we have the lead with 20 minutes to go in regulation. Let's see what we can do. Again, another situation where an insurance goal would be great. Brad Lambert, thank you very much. We have a 2-goal lead with 10 minutes remaining in the third period. Can we hold on? Can Ranta? Oh, it's over. Artturi Lehkonen gets another goal in this game. And the offense explodes following those changes to the lineup. Virta scores on the top line, Lehkonen on the third line, Lambert on the second, and then Lambert on the second, Lehkonen on the third. Beautiful. This series is all tied up at 2 wins apiece after a 5-2 victory in Game 4. 2 goals each for Lambert and Teravainen, and that is exactly what we needed. We needed that so desperately. And it's a big-time Game 5 on home ice. I think we'll keep the team the same. For whatever reason, the Lions always seem to respond to making changes. Let's see what happens here. Game 5 against Buffalo. as they get an early power play. Let's see what happens here, though. First period, they ended up scoring on that power play. Jack Eichel, JVR, and then Jack Eichel again, 3-0 through the opening 20 minutes of play. They outshot us 14-6. Second period, this one is over. New Hook and JVR will quick sim the third period. 5-0 final for Buffalo in Game 5. We respond so well in Game 4 to those lineup changes, and in Game 5, we just simply did not show up. And unless we're able to spark something here to force Game 7, my worst fears have become a reality. As far as this team is concerned, Repo has done nothing. Granlund has 1 assist. Nothing from Donskoy. Lehkonen and Teravainen have been okay. Hall is going to go down to the fourth line. Lambert with 2 points. 2 points for Simon Tyval. But, I mean, right there, no goals from Rantanen, no goals from Capo Caco. It's not difficult to see why we are struggling right now. Not at all. Holla will be the center on that fourth line. And as far as what else we look to do here, I genuinely don't know. Lehkonen with 3 points. 3 points for Tavo. 1 point for Granlund. I don't know who I want to drop, necessarily. I think I want to base it more off of goal scoring, which, I mean, would really put some of our high-end players on lower lines. As crazy as that is. But, I mean, I don't know. Do we just go with the best overall team? What do we look to do here? I mean, I guess it's either we put together the best team possible, the best line combinations that we think might work, or we reward those who are actually playing well. You know? That's pretty much it. I think what I'm going to do is go with the line combos that I thought I would use, even though that fourth line, you know what, with the exception of swapping Granlund and Holla, I think that's what I'm going to look to do. Is Virta a better center than Tavo? He is. So we're going to go with Capo Caco, Simon Tyval, and Rantanen, Teravainen, Virta, Lambert, Bjorkqvist, Granlund, Lehkonen, Donskoy, Holla, Repo. I don't know how I feel about it because that top line has been completely ineffective, but you would think that them together would give us the best chance to win. But if I, again, base it off of rewarding players who have actually done something, I mean, 2 out of 3 of those members of the top line, they're probably going to end up on the third line, which is just insane. And again, Caco has 3 assists, and that's fine, but he should be able to put up goals. The fact that there is not a single goal from one member of the top line is absolutely insane. Just absolutely insane that that's a fact of this team right now. Lambert with the 2 goals. I mean, we have goals from everybody in the top 9. Or, I mean, well, Teravainen, Virta, Lambert, Bjorkqvist, Lehkonen. But no goals from Caco, Simon Tyval, and Rantanen. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I don't know how exactly I want to handle this. I really don't. Like I said, so many different options. Maybe I'll just keep it together in that way. I don't know. Bjorkqvist has kind of cooled down over the past 2 games. I want to keep that top line together, but they're just not putting up points. I'm going to go with my gut on this one. As crazy as this is, we're going to split up all 3 members of that top line. So Rantanen on the first line, Caco on the second line, Simon Tyval on the third line. Bjorkqvist has the 4 goals. Virta with 4 points, 3 points for Tavo. And then the 2 goals there for Lambert. I also think I'm going to go Tavo on the third line. Virta has 4 points, the 4 goals there. Let's go for... I mean, I don't even know if technically that line combination would work. It wouldn't, because of the lack of a center. So again, Lehkonen with 3 points, 2 goals. I think it's going to be something like this. As just batshit insane as it is. Simon Tyval's the best center there. The best shot is Tavo. So we'll have Granlund, Simon Tyval, Teravainen. I think we'll go... Virta's going to be the best center there by far. We'll go Lehkonen, Virta, Kakko. And then probably Bjorkqvist, Lambert, Rantanen. Not how I thought this team would shape up at all. But we are desperate to get something going here. I mean, the third pairing... it would be worth probably seeing a little bit of a switch. I'm going to leave it as is. And then goaltending-wise, I'm turning things over to Tuukka Rask. Rantanen has not been good enough. We have already seen lineup changes spark something with this team in this series. The question is, will the same thing happen here in Game 6? Let's find out. If not, the season is over. First period is scoreless. 11 shots to 10 in our favor. Second period is not scoreless. Edgar Owens gets the goal with 46 seconds left. We have 10 more shots on the board, but Buffalo has the lead as Donskoy scores the first point from anybody on that fourth line. Currently, that is a huge goal and a hell of a way to start things off here, but Middlestat scores to restore the lead. We have 10 minutes to try and get something going, or we're going to crash and burn out of the playoffs in the first round, and that's exactly what is going to happen. Or not. At least not yet. With 1 second to go, Teuvo Teravainen has tied this game. If we lose in overtime now, you cannot tell me that this game doesn't intentionally screw with its players' heads. It does. If we lose this game now, it's EA screwing with me. Overtime in Game 6. I don't know who's going to win it for us or who could win it for them. Overtime. Can we force Game 7? Power play for Buffalo is killed off. Is Teravainen's goal off or not? Another power play for the Sabres. That's killed off as well. We're halfway through the overtime. Are we destined for double overtime? Is there a late winner? There's a late winner. Oh my God, we're going to Game 7. Teuvo Teravainen, with 1 second remaining, silences the home crowd. And in overtime, who else but Kasper Bjorkqvist? Kasper. The not-so-friendly Bjorkqvist. At least according to the Sabres. We are going to Game 7. Tuukka Rask, 34 saves. A 2-point night for Teravainen. And it's Game 7 back in Finland. Enjoy the travel, Buffalo. I know we will. My God. 1 second left. And we get the job done. That is unbelievable. I am so tempted to make a lineup change here. I'm going to give somebody a chance. Lamico. 14 points in 19 games in the AHL. Armia, 64 points in 82 games. I'm going to go for Armia. I'm going to sit Sebastian Repo. Again, just to kind of make a, hopefully not an inconsequential change to the lineup, but just to try and spark something. We are going to call up Armia. And we'll see what else we can do with this lineup here. So, I mean, the hope. Number one, we go best lines, the hope. So, Virta on 4 points. Still just the 1 point for Donskoy. 2 points for Granlund. 2 points, or not. 1 point for Haula. So, Haula's going back down. It'll be Donskoy, Haula, and Armia. Unless Armia is a better center. He is not. Third line. I have no idea. 2 points for Granlund. 2 points for Simon Taival. So I know those two are going to be on that third line. Bjorkqvist, of course, with the 5 goals. We have 2 goals for Lambert. But again, no goals for Kakko or Rantanen. I'm going to put Kakko on the second line, keep Rantanen on the top line. Bjorkqvist with the 5 goals. Lehkonen 3 points. I think it's got to be Bjorkqvist, Teravainen, and Rantanen, based off of how people have played. Again, our table right now with 5 points. And then second line, Lehkonen, 2 goals, 3 points total. Virta there. Lambert has the 2 goals. I guess it's just whether or not I want to bump up Lambert, but I got to be honest. I mean, Lehkonen's outperformed him. So I think we're going to go Lehkonen, Virta, Kakko. And then probably Granlund, Simon, Tyval, Lambert. Between the pipes, no doubt about it, Tuukka Rask will be given the opportunity to get us out of this mess. It is Game 7 on home ice in our first ever playoff series. We score with 1 second left in Game 6 and then win it in overtime to get to this point. Is it all for naught? Let's find out. First period, the Sabres get the opening goal. It's Calvin DeHaan. We outshot them 10-7. It did not matter. Second period, oh God, no. And yet again, after winning a game, we just don't show up to start the next one. I mean, it's even in shots, but we're down 3-0. JVR and Jeff Skinner. Is there another miracle comeback on the cards? There is not. JVR makes it 4. We put up a valiant effort, but we are going to fall in 7 games to the Buffalo Sabres. Brendan Goulet makes it 5. Somebody stop the damn match. I'm just going to hit the button. We break the shutout with 2 minutes left. Teuvo Teravainen. But 5-1 is your final in Game 7. Our season comes to a close in disappointing fashion. And you really don't have to look any further than the big names on this team. Kasper Bjorkqvist had a phenomenal round. 5 goals in 7 games. Teuvo led the way with 6 points. 4 points, no goals for Mikko Rantanen. He absolutely crumbled. 39 goals in the regular season. 3 straight 30-goal seasons. Absolutely crumbled. Disappeared. And if you look at his prior performances, I mean, 6 points in 5 games a few years ago when he was in the playoffs before he got here, he absolutely crumbled. And 2 of those points were on the power play. He absolutely crumbled under the pressure. And for a $14.5 million player, that's a very, very concerning sight. I mean, especially, too, when you factor in we're not allowed to trade him. Mikko, let's hope it's just growing pains, buddy. But that really, really hurts. Artturi Lehkonen had 3 points in 7 games. That's not too bad. Patrick Virta with 4 points. He quieted down after the first 3 games or so. Kaapo Kakko, no goals in 7 games. 2 20-goal seasons. Career high 68 points this year. 4 points is nice. We need goals. And you could argue, oh, well, he wasn't playing with Simon Tyval and Rantanen the whole time. I mean, Artturi Lehkonen had 2 more goals than him. Artturi Lehkonen never played with Rantanen and Simon Tyval at the same time. Marcus Granlund had 2 points. Simon Tyval, only 2 points. Point a game in the regular season, 2 points in 7 games in the playoffs. 2 goals for Brad Lambert. Again, it's not too hard to see who failed to live up to expectations and who failed to carry this team. Rasmus Ristolainen, no points. No points for our top defenseman. No points for Kervinen. And then goaltending-wise, Rask was good in Game 6, terrible in Game 7. Rantanen wasn't good either. It was probably a matter of us overperforming, if we're going to be honest. But it's still disappointing to have seen so many different members of this team underperform at the same time. We head into a very interesting offseason where the likes of Jonas Donskoi and Nokalainen are now tradable. Markus Nutivaara has 1 year left on his no trade / no movement, as I'm trying to fight off a sneeze. Hopefully I remember to make that jump cut. It's a very disappointing end to our year, but in the next episode, we go through another offseason, and there will, of course, be potential to make some more changes to this team. We changed things quite a bit this year. If we look at upcoming free agents, there might be at least 1 big name or 2 that we could potentially target, although they would both be RFAs. It could be a very interesting offseason. Could be a very interesting draft, depending on how things go down for us, and we might as well take a look at the draft class, not the draft board. I hit up one more time, but of course the game loves to ignore button presses. And to be honest, I was hoping we'd have some Finnish players move up outside of Jokinen and Martin still. It's not a whole hell of a lot there. But we do know that we have reinforcements coming in terms of unsigned, already drafted players. This is just the beginning, or at least I hope it is. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, have a good one.